Asked if there is a deadline, this is from Todd Archer at ESPN, whether Micah would play September 4th against the Eagles, Jerry Jones said, no, not at all. You don't have deadlines when you're playing under a contract. In other words, dude, not only are you under contract, oh, by the way, I have 2 franchise tag years if I really want to use them. Charles Robinson, it was August 1st, if memory serves, when Micah Parsons hit send on a 3-page iPhone notes post saying, see ya, I'm out of here. Are we any closer to a resolution? Because I cannot believe he's going to get traded.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine him getting traded. So as I've gone through the tour, I've now gotten to the point where I've had 4 general managers who have kind of assessed his trade value, and then 3 other front office executives. And, the baseline is pretty clear, and there's a lot of agreement on it. Bare minimum, you go back to the 2018 trade where the Raiders sent Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears for 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick. I think Mack went over with a second-round pick, only richer. So you start, if that's going to be the basement, and then really the assessment is, if you're the Cowboys, you're asking for bare minimum 2 first-round picks and a quality starter as well. You're going to get another player coming back who's going to help you immediately. And if not a quality starter, you're going to ask for 3 first-round picks. And that's really the realm you're going to have to deal in, and then pay Micah Parsons $45 million a year, annual average value. That's what you would ultimately be signing up for. But I'll throw this at you. I thought this was pretty interesting. I was sitting with a GM, and he told me he had a conversation with the Cowboys. It was not, he had called, it was not about Micah, but he kind of nosed around a little bit just to kind of get a feel for, what they wanted to talk about when it came to Micah. And he said, I didn't get any sense. Ultimately, they want to deal him. If anything, it was, the opposite. They seemed very calm about the situation, the way it was going. So I'll ask you guys this. Jerry's got a Netflix program coming up, right? And he's the master of promotion. And he has said in the past, Jerry has said, when it gets quiet, I like to stir it up a little bit. Like when it gets quiet around our team, and all of us, I spent 25 years around NFL teams, and all I hear is we want it to be quiet. And he's on the other end of the spectrum. It gets quiet, he gets itchy, right? Like he wants to get thrown out of an Applebee's when it gets quiet. That's Jerry Jones. So is there a chance, and it was funny because the general manager posed this to me. He said at one point, is there any shot they know they're going to pay him? They know we're going to pay him $45 million a season. We're gonna trump all the numbers. But is there a chance that Jerry is doing this to keep the Cowboys constantly talked about leading into this Netflix series that's coming out about Jerry Jones? And at the time, I was like, nah, I'm like, he's pretty crazy. I'm like, but I don't think he would do this. And you're like, what, wouldn't Micah have to be in on that? No, Micah wouldn't. Because if the Cowboys sit there and go, we write checks all the time that heal feelings, and we know how to do that, let's go ahead and go through this and earn as much publicity as we possibly can. This is Jerry Jones. This is a theory. And at the end of the day,
do you believe this, Charles? Come on.
It would be the craziest thing I had ever seen.
But if one guy's going to pull it off, it's Jerry, right?
But if one guy is going to sit there and go,
what if Jerry says, all right, here's the number. I know this is the number, and I'm just waiting, and I'll give you the number like in 2 weeks. And then Micah goes, yeah, you know what? I don't want that number anymore. Like, I really do want to get traded.
Today's price is not yesterday's price.
Right. So I went to the premiere of the Netflix show in LA on Monday. By the way, it's going to be pretty cool. It's not just about Jerry. It's about the franchise. We screened episode 3, which is an amazing flashback to the 1992 NFC Championship game, that muddy day in San Francisco, where the Cowboys, kind of the team of the 80s there that the Niners had been with the dynasty. So well done. But Jerry was up on stage after the screening, and they did a roundtable, a crosstalk. Al Michaels moderated. It was Jerry and Michael Irvin and Emmett Smith and the 2 filmmakers. And Jerry, Charles, to your point, said exactly what you said, stirring it up. And basically, any headline's a good headline as long as they spell our name right, right? Controversy is a good thing. Controversy moves the needle. Controversy or just a little bit of tension is a good thing. However, when jokes are made about Emmitt Smith's holdout, right? His legendary holdout many a year ago, Jerry,
Sure.
when given the opportunity a few times to say something about Micah, would not go there. And Micah Parsons today told reporters, I have no comment. I will not comment. I'm not going to comment. So I think both can be true. Like, I guarantee it, yes, that has crossed his mind. But the idea that he would actually, Frank, do it, I just can't buy it.
I love this. I love this conspiracy so much because Jerry Jones is the one guy who is like, Charles, you talked about this. We've talked about this. 31 teams, 31 owners are like, don't create any controversy. Keep everything quiet. There's one guy out there who's like, yeah, I'll tell you what you need to know. I don't really care. And by the way, there's one franchise in sports in the world that's worth $10 billion. It's the team that hasn't won a Super Bowl in 30 years. Jerry Jones is running circles around everybody else when it comes to promotion, right? He's the carnival barker. Okay. This is what he does. Although I don't really believe it, but it's Jerry. I can't rule it out either. It's so phenomenal. I love that you brought this up. I love it.
So let me add this to this. So Andrew, you went and you screened the documentary. It literally has The Gambler in the title of the documentary.
Correct.
So if there's anybody who loves to point out how he gambled his way to this and that, the chances he took, how he hung it out there and couldn't keep the lights on. I've been there for how many, his monologues where he goes on and on about the beginnings and, talks about the
$100 million win on that last oil well when he threw everything in and he had nothing left. Yep.
Okay, so you have that guy, right? And let's be realistic. Had they signed Micah at the outset of camp or before camp, how much would we have talked about the Cowboys? We would have been like, we would have just talked about normal football stuff. How's so Tyler Booker
this
look?
Is so good.
How does, what would we, what's Dak look like?
Yeah, we're going to talk about Tyler Booker.
Right. Instead, what has happened? The Cowboys, Micah says something or Jerry says something or Steven says something, and every single morning show for weeks on end, it has been in the mainstream. We're talking about it right now on a podcast. Okay,
but we would still be talking
this off. There's only one guy who would have the stones to do it.
But Andrew, you have to admit, not on this level, right? Number one,
no, not on this level. The conversation would be, "What is Dak Prescott's legacy?" Like, shut up! It's August. Stop. Like, I hate that. But yes, having the network. And I love my 13 years of the network, but this isn't just NFL Network. It's ESPN. It's every network. It is the Cowboys industrial complex. You must talk about them, no matter what it is, every single day. And for the fans who say we're sick of it, I get it. But I can tell you that I have seen the numbers. If the Cowboys were to cut their long snapper, whose name escapes me right now, I'm sorry, but if they were to cut their long snapper tomorrow, other than Shador, which now has that power, it would probably be the number one story on the stack on the front of NFL.com. And those stories, they used to be, and I think they still are, their order on the page is dictated by how many clicks they get. So very often, like you click on a bunch of stories, like one of them will float to the top. The Cowboys and the Steelers stories will always be at the top. Always. So when you yell at me, not you, meaning the fans, saying stop talking about the Cowboys, I'm telling you, they move the needle and the ratings are different. And everything is different when they are being discussed.
Fair enough. But when has there ever been a Jerry Jones documentary coming out in the middle of it in which he was followed around for 3 years by a crew? This is different.
I get it.
I'll just say one other thing. It sounds insane and it sounds crazy. And yet the first time I ever went to Frisco, I stood there and said, oh my God, what the hell is going on? There's thousands and thousands of office square footage that watches your practice every day. What is going, like, who on the face of the earth would go, well, I know I can fill up all those thousands and thousands and 10,000 and all the floors of square footage because they can just watch the Cowboys practice every day and I'll make them sign a waiver that says they can't share any of that. I mean, it's brilliant. kind of
Now I have a new
fits.
favorite thing, and it's Charles doing an entire podcast as Jerry Jones. Can we
That's-
get that?
that's
Can we
fantastic.
just do an hour of Charles?
Go
and
ask
Jerry?
Mike
That was
McCarthy or
awesome.
Jason Garrett about all the times hey, by the way, practice on Friday. Yeah, you can't do it. Why? Because there's a bar mitzvah in there on the field. What? Oh yeah, there's a wedding.
There's one
What?
team operating
Nope,
unlike any other. It's a Cowboys
we
that
sold
are
out the
different than
bubble
any other.
today.
And again, they're the only $10 billion franchise in the world. Maybe Jerry's figured out something everybody else hasn't. It's
He
an
has figured it
entertainment
out. And
business.
by the way, the
first and
documentary
foremost.
is truly, really good. And you talk about like Jerry talking a lot. Yes, he does. We all know that. And I'm talking too much right now. I'm getting yelled at. We should break. But they have 40 hours of interviews with Jerry for this doc. 40 hours.